Morning, everyone. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, is the listed header of this page. But if you scroll down on Itineraries, you'll notice something strange. Deputy Prime Minister itinerary for Monday, January 6th. And Prime Minister's itinerary for Monday, January 6th. Oh my goodness. They're just putting Freeland in. I wonder which picture they're going to use for Miss Freeland's header. Maybe we'll cut this and insert it right beside Trudeau here, right? So she's inspecting them too. Mama is not equal to chopped liver, baby. Mama is equal to Deputy Prime Minister. And so the Prime Minister is in Ottawa. Welcome home, sir. There's been a whole lot of action. I'm sure you're well aware, right? The beaches of Costa Rica aren't devoid of televisions. I'm sure you saw somewhere that Donald Trump was, being Donald Trump in the world. So the Deputy Prime Minister is going to be in Edmonton, Alberta. Is this just preparation? Is this what's going to be going forward? Are they just going to drop Justin Trudeau altogether from this list? Meh, who cares? Deputy Prime Minister, that's what you got. Didn't you know you were voting for the Deputy PM? Didn't you know you were voting for Justin to allocate his job to whoever he saw fit? And the person he saw fit is former journalist and failed NAFTA negotiator, or leaving a lot to be desired NAFTA negotiator, Chrystia Freeland. I don't know. It seems odd, doesn't it? It seems like another brick in the get them used to it wall, right? Oh, Miss Freeland's the same as Mr. Trudeau, exactly the same leadership, no problem at all. Well, I mean, they're both very close to George Soros, so that's probably true. But here we are. So this, I want to prep you. I'm going to show you Justin Trudeau's Twitter account. And part of the reason I'm going to show you his Twitter account is because he has not tweeted about Iran or the Iran situation at all. He's, I guess, leaving that to his foreign affairs minister, who has tweeted about it and basically said, everybody calm down. Which, when you're allies with the United States and the United States has been attacked, and telling them to calm down is probably a bad move, right? You say, do you need anything? Or you just stay quiet about it, or maybe say, yeah, what Iran did was terrible. But instead, he said, everybody calm down. So I think that's weird. And then Trudeau has not tweeted about it at all. But he's found time to talk about, well, I started on January 1st just because I was making sure I didn't miss anything, right? So on January, these are retweets and things. On January 4, he starts tweeting about the Canada game. On January 20 hours ago, he tweeted, this is the first tweet since the Iran situation started, he tweeted about the wildfires, and I'm going to get there. So this is the reason that I'm going to do this first. Okay, so this is the Jerusalem Post, and we're going back to 2017 because I remember reading about Fire Jihad. And what is Fire Jihad? We're going to find out right now. ISIS calls on recruits to copy arson terror method used in Israel. Through arson, operatives can, quote, impose terror on an entire country, the terror organization boasted. Okay. And do you remember, I think it was 2017, where the wildfires were quite a lot in Western Canada, and it was being reported that it was climate change. And my response to that on Twitter has now become arson, not climate change. Because I'm sick of, if you read reports, and Ross McKittrick has written many reports talking about how the IPCC does not include increased wildfires as a proof of climate change. It is not something they're saying, yeah, that's definitely happening because of climate change. Do you know how hot it would have to be for plants to spontaneously combust? Even dry ones? Okay, back to this. In the January 6th issue, that's 2017, of ISIS's monthly print publication, Rumaya, meaning Rome, and I'm sorry if I've got that wrong, I'm not going to worry about that too much, in reference to the Islamic prophecy that foretells the downfall of Rome in the broader sense of infidels battling Muslims. Article titled Just Terror Tactics, citing the November 22nd to 27th flames as an example of effective use for terrorism. Through arson, operatives can impose terror on an entire country, the Sunni Islamist organization stressed. Quote, the whole world witnessed the devastating fires that ravaged Jewish settlements in Palestine, destroying around 700 Jewish homes, the article said. This is ISIS's description, though the Shabbat, Israel Security Agency, has questioned only about 10 suspects, with some still being interrogated and additional suspects having been interrogated by police. Okay, so with that bit of knowledge that ISIS is using its media arm to encourage its followers to embark on fire jihad on making wildfires worse. And I'm going to show you more examples of this. Okay, so I've got lots to show you here. Here's Justin Trudeau's tweet. Okay, he says, quote, "When wildfires spread through our communities, Australia answered our call for help. Now Canadians are doing the same. Our two countries are close allies, and so many Canadians have connections to Australia. We're going to help our friends get through this." And here's Philippe Champagne, who's the Foreign Affairs Minister. He is making a statement that says, "Canada is deeply saddened by the mounting deaths and destruction caused by the devastating wildfires in Australia. Since December 3rd, 2019, almost 100 Canadian fire management personnel have deployed to Australia, with more on the way soon. These Canadians are providing expertise and relief for the Australian staff who have been working extremely hard and around the clock since November. I've communicated with my Australian counterpart to reiterate that we are prepared to provide further assistance as necessary. When wildfires spread through Canadian communities, Australia answered our calls for help. We're proud to do the same. Canadian citizens requiring emergency consular assistance." Okay, and that's just information for people who are in trouble. So while I don't think that it's a problem sending help, I think blaming climate change on this is irresponsible. And saying this is a climate emergency and using that kind of language is being done by a lot of the ministers around Justin Trudeau, a lot of people in the media, and I don't think it's accurate. Here is Gerald Butts, and he says, "Michael Mann is always an indispensable follow on climate change, more so now than ever. To American followers who are looking for the straight goods on Australian fires, check him out." So there's an example of people surrounding Justin Trudeau pushing the climate change idea. Now, Michael Mann is an interesting case. Michael Mann is the hockey stick graph guy, but he got called a climate hack, basically, by Dr. Ball. And then Michael Mann had brought a lawsuit against Dr. Ball saying what you're saying is defamatory, and took him to court, and he lost. Michael Mann lost because he didn't give any of his data over. He has the data that proves this hockey stick graph and says that's proprietary. Tim Ball's version of the same data, with open source data with thermometers and other things, is below Mr. Mann's version and doesn't show the same hockey stick, etc., and doesn't show the lack of the medieval warm period, right? So I mean, it's very interesting, and it's way more complicated to get into than this article and this story that I'm doing today is willing to get into. But the link is in the description. Feel free to read for yourself. It's very interesting. So we've got Justin Trudeau not tweeting about Iran, tweeting about climate change and hockey, and that's it. Since basically the biggest conflict involving the United States, our close ally, has kicked off in this century, I would think. I mean, maybe Iraq is bigger than this one. Okay, so this 2010s. So, and Justin Trudeau is vacationing and then coming back and talking about hockey stick graphs and Michael Mann. And again, I don't think it's appropriate with regard to the Islamic Jihad that is being encouraged by ISIS, their media arm. Right? Here is the Australian fire. This is 7 News Sydney. Sydney's in Australia. And it says, "Police are now working on the premise arson is to blame for much of the devastation caused this brush fire season. A strike force will investigate whether blazes were deliberately set and bring those responsible to justice." So that doesn't sound like, oh no, let's fight the climate. Let's tax everyone. And if we tax everyone and don't do any forest management and make sure that no fires happen ever again, then climate change is beaten. Right. I believe that. Not.
The deaths of people that have occurred as a result of these fires.
And a more sinister consideration, were the fires intentionally started? Police have formed Strike Force in Dara, comprising detectives from homicide and arson squads, plus drawing on insights from officers with local knowledge who will lead the work.
We'll make available any other specialist resources in terms of our forensic services group and other criminal investigators.
Arson squad detectives are also part of this strike force responsible for tracking down firebugs known to be responsible for lighting deliberately lit fires like this one at South Turramurra last November.
So I'll leave it there. It's not very long, but they just talk about proactive services, getting rid of, like, knocking on known firebugs doors, etc. And here's one from Canada. This is July 6, 2018. RCMP says arson behind 29 Okanagan wildfires over the last 4 years. Here's the list of those wildfires. Arson suspected in these wildfires, right? And Here's another one. This is Alberta. Wildfire that threatened Alberta communities was arson, RCMP province. And this is from October 23rd, 2019. And I'm not going to read this one either, but 2 arson attacks for fires. It seems strange. Here's some more ISIS claiming responsibility and use of wildfire arson as a terror tactic. Link is in the description. This is from May 28, 2019, and it says, ISIS noted at the beginning of the Al-Naba article that it's summer, terror groups, in encouraging the use of wildfire arson in the past, have stressed that picking dry, hot, windy weather will intensify their efforts. Iraq's Civil Defense Directorate said Monday 6,103 acres of farmland had burned in 136 separate fires over the last 18 days, spanning 11 provinces. The statement did not confirm nor deny ISIS's claim of responsibility, but the provinces most harmed, Salahuddin, Nivian, Kirkuk, Diyala, sorry if I've got any of them wrong, corresponded with areas already suffering under ISIS's escalating guerrilla campaign that has included kidnappings and murders. And here's another one. And I didn't highlight any of this one, but link is in the description if you want to check it out. But ISIS threat poster coincides with wildfires, depicts fiery San Francisco. So it's a combination. It's an interesting combination of things that are happening in our world. But fundamentally, I believe that no amount of taxes is going to change the weather. So regardless of whether climate change is man-made or not, I think taxing Canadians or taxing any population or instituting communism in an effort to tax the entire planet, I don't think any of that is going to change the weather. I really don't. I mean, please. Let's use British Columbia as an example. Have they changed the weather with their carbon tax in 10 years? No. Okay. Maybe Canada will do it better. Maybe the entire world will do it better. But maybe these crazy people who are trying to systemically lie to us through the media and ignore these facts of the jihadi arson and Michael Mann's hockey stick graph, which is complete bullshit. Bullshit. Right? I mean, if they continue to lie and continue to ignore, what other conclusion are we going to come to? Oh, taxing everybody is exactly what we want. Yay! Save the world. Good job. Morons. Okay, so this is the last little bit, and if you're unaware already, the government of Canada removed 100 years of climate change data from the publicly available files online. You used to be able to access it, now you cannot. And well, here's another interesting story. Data suggests Canada's greenhouse gas emissions increased by millions of tons in 2018. Environment Canada posts information on the website and then quickly pulls it down after inquiry by Blacklock's. And Blacklock's is a private independent news, and I'm not subscribed to them, but this is interesting. This is the last couple of years Canada's modus operandi. This is how our government has worked, right? Like if that little bit of information is going to prove something that we don't want you to be talking about, we'll just remove it. No problem. Just take it off the internet. Can't look at that information anymore. There's, Vivian Cruz, I believe, Kraus, I'm saying her name wrong, has been looking at the oil and gas industry, and as she brought things to the government of Canada, they systemically removed those things from public record so other people couldn't verify or replicate her work independently, right? Isn't that what a dictator government does? A communist, well, not communist, but certainly a government that is taking more control than I like to see, than I'm comfortable with. This is incredible what's going on. So if you find something, back it up offline and don't tell the government. Thanks for watching, everybody. This is interesting stuff. Justin Trudeau not talking about Iran, talking about climate change. Gerald Butts backing it right up with Michael Mann. And nobody talking about what's actually happening in Australia. Nobody mentioning that it's arson. Nobody mentioning that police are working on the premise that arson is to blame. Nobody mentioning any of that. Forget about that. ISIS? No, it's not ISIS. It's climate change. Taxes, taxes, taxes. Take out those pesky pieces of data that will absolutely destroy the idea that the Liberals are friends to the environment. Yeah, good job. Good job, Liberal government. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out CanadaPoly.com. Have a wonderful, wonderful